Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Lefty. Hey, Lefty, what you say?
It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. We spin it different right here. Lucky Lefty Podcast YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well at Lucky Lefty Pod. I am Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics. That guy over there, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire. Let's get into it. This is the Slant. Of course, bye week for Notre Dame. Big win going into the bye week. Big comeback win up in Blacksburg going into the bye week. USC Trojans on the other side waiting for them night game at Notre Dame Stadium. We're going to preview that game next week. But, Trojans are, man.
Yeah.
That team is in a flux. You talk about a team in a flux. And we'll get to that because we'll talk about how quickly a program, because there's talent on the roster.
100%.
There's talent on the roster. And Keaton Slovis has been a pretty good quarterback, but when everything is just out of sorts, that's the game of football, man. That's why, locker rooms become such a family, because it literally takes everybody pulling on the same rope to have a successful season. So we want to talk about today. I want to peel back the layers of Jack Coan and Tyler Buchner today on the Slant. And who better to do that for you than somebody that was in that quarterback room with that same head coach, with that same, playbook similar, especially to what Tyler Buchner's doing with the RPOs and the quarterback runs. So let's start with Tyler Buchner, right? And go back, you watch the game, and the one thing that stood out to me, Malik, and you can probably break it down a little bit more for all of the Irish fans out there, the game is still really fast to him, and you can see it. And of course, you see it in the passing game, right? Because, he throws the ball late over the middle. He's waiting for the receiver to break open instead of just leading the receiver. Throwing the ball a little bit too quick on out routes and short passes, on clutch third downs. He's just sped up. Even in his delivery, it's one thing to have a quick release, but he's just sped up. Like everything is just like, and even in his runs, which is the best part of his game right now, like he's just taking off before the blocker that's pulling hasn't even gotten around. He's just anxious and he's just sped up. We talked about, I believe, on the second touchdown drive, quarterback run to the right. Kevin Austin, they bring the tight end around. He's the lead blocker. He has the linebacker sewn up or the safety coming down. Kevin Austin has the outside seal for him, and he cuts it back inside. Like if he just stays to the outside, he walks into the end zone. But he decides to cut it back inside, and there's a reason why that is, and we talked about it. So talk about his running style and why it seems that he's still sped up. Remember, he didn't play a senior season due to the pandemic.
Yeah, and to come out of high school to be highly rated as he was, and in my opinion, rightfully so. I think he went through the high school gauntlet as you're supposed to for a quarterback to get those kind of rankings, but you compare number one quarterbacks like that to each other. You look at one in Caleb Williams, who hasn't played all season, really, gets into the Oklahoma-Texas game and looks like he's been a 10-year vet for a long time. And it's just a certain poise. We're talking about eye test here. Mm-hmm. And we are eye testing a guy like Tyler Buchner. It kind of looks like it's a fish out of water in a sense. I mean, he looks rushed. He doesn't look comfortable in his skin. And sometimes guys like that are talented. He runs hard. The quarterback, one of the only quarterbacks in college football, maybe history, to suffer a severe hamstring injury. The kid is giving 100% effort. It's sort of like watching Russell Westbrook playing basketball, but at the quarterback position. It doesn't look pretty. It's kind of rough on the edges. It looks a little off kilter. But, it's productive in his own right. Now, is it productive for the entire team? Well, there's spurts where he has some triple-double moments and some wild moments where he's running through arm tackles or makes a nice pass like he did to Kevin Austin. But is it consistent enough to win a championship? Well, you got to look at Russell Westbrook. I mean, very talented guy, puts up a lot of numbers, but is that a championship point guard? Well, we've yet to find out. So I give that comparison a lot because you look at our quarterback who was a very successful quarterback in Ian Book.
Mm-hmm.
Book had a je ne sais quoi to him, was smoothness to him. It didn't look like he was ever flustered in the moment. And I think, that's something that maybe with more experience and a better comfortability with the offense, Tyler will be able to kind of smoothen out. But from his early eye test, it looks like he's a little desperate out there. Like, you don't have to run through three guys to get the touchdown. I mean, hey, we know you're going to get some opportunities, but let's be a little bit smarter just so it can keep you healthy throughout the game and even your career. So I think that's just something that'll come with time. Everybody's a little different, but you're talking about five-star quarterbacks, you got to make those comparisons, and you look at one super poised, super smooth, and in a hostile environment, and then another one who's talented just like the first one, but not as natural. So those quarterbacks usually have a hard time panning out in the league. You look like a guy like Mac Jones who looks like a smooth operator, like he's not trying. And you see how it translates into the NFL. And then you look like guys, super talented, like a Lamar Jackson. Is a little herky-jerky, but he's exponentially talented. So it works out. You know what I mean? So if you're not exponentially talented like a Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson, to survive, you got to be a little smooth. Even Big Ben Roethlisberger is just smooth. He's not look like he's out there for his life. So those are some of the things that you pick up on, but maybe that's where the confidence in Coach Kelly comes from, where he's not just fully putting him out there the entire game.
So coming off a bye week, more time to practice, more time to get in reps for the young man. Tommy Rees is under the microscope leading into this USC game. And this is what I mean, because there's more film out there now on Tyler Buchner. Not just in the run game, but there's more film in the pass game. Sweet pass, dropped it in the bucket to Kevin Austin. Nice pass over the middle to Avery Davis. So it's almost like he's better in the intermediate and deep passing game than he is in the short passing game. So knowing his strengths right now, because most quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, you want a game plan to give him short passes to get him in a rhythm and then go down the field. He seems more comfortable throwing the ball down the field rather than the quick game, the short routes, the stop routes, the outs. As I said before, it looks like he's just sped up, a little bit inaccurate on the short game. So through this, how do you advance the game plan for Tyler Buchner, knowing we can't keep doing the same things and running the same plays, even in the run game with him? We have to be able to build upon that and kind of go out and get different branches and maybe different counters off of this stuff so we can really start hitting different teams or hitting teams with the schemes they're going to try and come in and stop him with when he's in the game.
Well, it's an interesting thing. I think about it a lot, and I think of it in my own career. So one of the things that make a difference is that, I give another basketball reference. It's like the Steph Curry effect. Everybody wants to shoot the deep three. Everybody, is changing their game. You see little kids chucking it up from half court, and it's a bad shot. Now, for a professional like him, he's the greatest shooter in the world. Nothing's a bad shot. But that excitement and that entertainment value, changes the culture. Similar to what Patrick Mahomes is doing. Every weekend on ESPN, you're seeing him throwing it 55 yards on a dime. Even Caleb Williams' throw that was highlighted all week. Great, spectacular throw. That affects quarterbacks in what they're seeing every day. I remember me watching in high school, watching Mike Vick highlights and going out there and wanting to be Mike Vick. So this is just another stage in the evolution of where the game is taking it. And then it goes back to coaching. You got to coach to your strengths. I think a lot about, in order to be a number one quarterback, in high school, you got to throw it deep. You got to make exciting plays off schedule. That's what he's built his game off of. And that's something that, proves to work with coaches that work with that. So you think of a guy like Lincoln Riley. Why is he so successful with his quarterbacks? Well, he just coaches to the strength. He's going to throw it deep, and then he's going to let the quarterback make off-schedule plays. And when teams adjust to it, then the shorter game is going to be open, and you're more comfortable with bigger windows. But you're trying to build a quarterback from the ground up where he's got to build him from the top down. If he's more comfortable taking deep shots, then you got to do what he did in high school. He ran a lot. Defense came up. That's when he started putting up them amazing highlight plays on his highlight tape. So that's the kind of formula you would want to go with Tyler Buchner. I think of a lot of myself in my career, and what made our 2014, 15, 16 offense so good is that we could throw it deep and we could run the ball very well. So, when I was able to make plays running, I would get one-on-ones with Will Fuller, Corey Robinson, down the field. Teams were convinced I couldn't throw, which was great because now I could just show off my arm and take advantage of the easy matchups with the talent that we had, and it made us really good, So that's something similar that you're going to have to develop with Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys down the field, keep letting them throw it down the field, and then when teams start respecting it and they start backing up, all the short game will develop a lot easier. But when you're trying to go the opposite flow of how your quarterback's talent is, it's going to be struggle for him, and he's not going to look comfortable.
One of the things that Tommy Rees, he's been chomping at the bit. Yeah, he's been chomping at the bit. Michael Mayer didn't play. And Michael Mayer split out the majority of the time in the offense. And having, Mitchell Evans and George Tackett now being the guys, he wanted to go. He had been waiting to go to that 12 personnel. He couldn't wait to get back to that 12 personnel. Same type of stuff he used to run when he used to quarterback. Give me my two tight ends. And it did help in the running game. And we talked about the offensive line was much better. Andrew Kostopik, Tosh Baker, all of the youngsters, Joe Alt, Josh Lugg at right tackle probably had one of his best games. And Blake Fisher might be back. Interesting conversation that we can bring up as well about how that offensive line is going to look in the next year or two with Blake Fisher returning, because with all of the youngsters getting reps at left tackle, you might have your next Quentin Nelson and Blake Fisher if you throw him at guard.
Yeah.
So we can get into that. But now I want to go over to Jack Coan, right? And Brian Kelly talked about it post-game after Virginia Tech. He was like, the guy that you saw on that drive in the fourth quarter against Florida State and the last drive here, that's what we see in practice all the time. We see it in practice. Get back, get the ball out of your hands real quick, and we play tempo, and everything's fine. He's like, and all of a sudden, we get to these games early, and it's like he's holding the ball. He's holding the ball. We're like, man, what's going on? So you're getting two different guys. What's happening with Jack Coan? Because he's poised. I don't think he's uptight to start the game. Or maybe he knows that there are other quarterbacks or Tyler's coming in. So maybe he's kind of like putting pressure on himself early in the game to make a big play rather than just going ahead and just taking what the defense is giving him, which is what he's doing late in the game. Whether it's an arrow route out of the backfield to Kyron, or Logan Diggs, or it's a short dig, to Braden Lindsey on the outside, in cutting route for Avery Davis. He's just taking what the defense is giving him and just lighting teams up in late game situations. So what's the difference with Jack Coan?
I give it the comparison of, one, Jack Coan was never a superstar quarterback that would Tom Brady his way our team to a championship. So that's one. I think the expectation was just set too high to begin with. But, you're going to get that when you come to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then secondly, I just compare it to those kids that are super smart in the books but have no type of common smart, no street smart to them.
Yeah.
And that's just the difference between a lot of guys and with coaches. It's a fake narrative, in my opinion, that in some ways, you practice how you play. Some guys are better practice players. I wasn't a very good practice player, probably why I didn't get a biggest chance like I should have. But in the game, you would be like, why is he not playing all the time? and that's just how some guys are. And for Jack to be the now Tommy Rees of the past, he's not a guy that's going to win you the game. He's a guy that's going to look good in practice, know his job, but executing your job takes a whole nother level. And then you add that to the fact of you got freshmen breathing down your neck, a third string guy breathing down your neck. You don't know if you're going to be in or out. So it doesn't add to the confidence when he's going in there. But, from a talent of what his ceiling is and what we know him to be as a quarterback, I feel like we've gotten exactly what we thought we would, or at least what I thought we would. I didn't think we were going to have the solution with Jack necessarily, but more games where he sticks it out in the end because he's a vet, and in those situations that he's more used to because he's 5 years in and he knows his job. That's why it's better to put him in towards the end instead of the beginning.
The amazing thing about Jack Coan, as I said before, like the football guys were in the favor of Notre Dame in that game because the way Tyler got hurt was just so
on time
and unassuming. Like, when they went back, because we didn't know after the play is over, they're like, Tyler Buchner's hurt. And we're like, yo, what happened? Like, and I thought maybe the guy that was, blitzing him went low, rolled up his ankle or something.
Nobody was around him when he threw it. I think he just landed wrong.
He just landed wrong and just was trying to watch the play and was jumping up and down. And it's not like he has incredible hops, so he wasn't really getting off the ground that much. But he rolled his ankle pretty bad.
And that's another lower body injury to a quarterback.
Man, it's like just the way you're built, bro. I was
are you a running back? Like Kyron doesn't even have lower body injuries like you be having.
Yeah, twisted ankle and a pulled hamstring already.
And you throw the ball for a living. Come on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He plays too hard to be a natural quarterback. He just plays too hard. Like he's like got a mentality of a linebacker, and he's trying to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's an interesting mix, but if you're doing that, you might as well start running some power I triple option.
So I talked about Logan Diggs, right? And he ended up getting tackled, but I just told you, like on a couple of plays, I'm watching him, and he just had a little to him. And he wears the same number as Najee Harris, and I don't want to put that on him as early, right? But he's just slippery.
Yeah.
And I won't even go to Najee Harris because I think he reminds me of the 25 that used to line up next to you. I really started to think about it, and I'm like, yo, that's who he reminds me of. Tell the Irish fans who I'm talking about.
Tarian Polston, man.
Yeah.
That's a complete back right there, man. Shout out to Tarian Polston for his injury. Even after his injury, man, they talk about a guy that can do it.
I've never seen anybody. The move he put on the Michigan safety when he got hurt, I'm like, yo, that was nasty.
It was nasty.
And then I'm like, oh no, he can't be hurt.
Yeah.
No, that was Michigan. Was that Michigan or Texas? That was Texas, right? I'm sorry. On the Texas safety. And I'm like, yo, but that's who he reminds me of. Just slippery.
It's not a long speed. It's quick. I'm gonna get you yards. It looks slow, but I'm just making guys miss, and I'm just up the field. So.
Absolutely. And just like Torian, he can catch the ball out the backfield. Caught a nice little arrow route, got up the field in the fourth quarter. So I was impressed. That's why, when you have a multitude of wealth and talent like that at a position, why are you throwing Chris Tyree under the bus?
Yeah.
Like, okay, next man up.
Yeah, like, he can't answer the bell. You see all these guys? It's the same situation as when we had CJ Prosize, Adams, Dexter. Who else? Josh Dexter, CJ. And we were using one at a time, like we were trying to save for the end or something. Josh had like 2,000 yards and 50 carries.
Right.
And then in the next running back, which is Dexter, who's in the league now, had like 5 carries that season. Just ridiculous, like unevenness. And then Josh had started piling up injuries, and it's like, man, why don't we just circulate like regular? Like when Zaire and Theo were here, it was a nice balance.
Yeah.
When Theo came in, Theo was able to catch and run and do some things, and then Zaire, he was in the consistent running back, but it wasn't a one more than the other. We started gearing one-sided a lot. I mean, CJ, when we had Josh Adams scored the first game.
Yeah.
We didn't see him until towards the end. So, with all that talent, we love to be real frugal with it, if that makes sense.
And is that more about you lay that on the offensive coordinator?
Well, there's a bunch of conspiracies that you can run with.
Let's run with them. This is the slant.
I think we do. I think we're aware of the eligibility of our guys and, wanting to keep talent as long as we can. I mean, as a business, you would want to keep your guys around. And so sometimes you would think that, okay, you play really well with a potential to leave. Well, maybe we should let the younger guys get some love in too. It's only when it gets to that point, or it's like you're on your way out. Let's just burn you to the carpet. And then you go into the league with a good stat line, but you got a shoulder, you got a knee, and you can't even make it through your rookie year. So many different things can contribute to that. It doesn't have to necessarily be the coach calling, but
yeah,
it does have some patterns if you look through the players that have been in that position.
I mean, it is a dog-eat-dog world, even though it's not a professional ranks. You see a guy like Jameson Williams, who originally in that wide receiver room at Ohio State, and you couldn't get noticed, and now, dude, you are the best wide receiver at Alabama.
At Alabama, absolutely.
At Alabama. So,
and he looked the part too, boy.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine if he was still?
He looked like a shorter DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Just built, huge.
Yeah. Can you imagine if he was still next to Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave?
No, because they don't. How they gonna get the ball? You would never even know how good they would really get.
You know what? That is kind of how the receivers we see now that eventually ended up playing with Joe Burrow, we didn't know how good they were until Joe Burrow got there.
Yeah.
Like, you knew they were talented, but then once Joe Burrow got there, it was like, oh, okay.
Putting out 2 Rookie of the Year receivers.
And now, like, Jamar Chase is definitely winning.
Definitely. He's definitely winning.
Definitely. And he does it with ease.
He looked just like how Justin Jefferson was doing. Yeah. That's what they look like clones almost.
Like, and trust me, it's not that easy. The game is not that easy.
Rookie year, you're going in there getting 4 touchdowns in the first 2-3 games. Yeah, you're talented.
Yeah.
But he went top 5, so
yeah.
What do you expect?
Petty train time each and every week. We have to put somebody on the petty train, man, just for something that was done or said or whatever. And we have gotten tired of nominating Brian Kelly. So Brian Kelly is always on the petty train because he is the conductor.
He is conductor. He
is driving it. So we will no longer. He has been retired from nominations.
He's a regular, he can't even mention you no more.
And he just keeps giving us material.
Yeah.
Every press conference, he just keeps giving us great material. So I don't know who you might have, but this week I want to nominate the Southeastern Conference. That's right.
The whole conference.
The entire conference, man. So I don't know. One of the best games, we talked about it. The Aggies were able to upset Alabama 41-38 at Kyle Field on Saturday night. Fantastic game. And the Aggie fans stormed the field. They stormed the field, only to find out the next morning that the SEC had decided to fine Texas A&M $100K for storming the field.
Ooh.
100K, bro.
Listen, a team that has had no expectations from anybody outside that locker room to win that game. They were already 3-2.
Yeah, yeah,
They had all the press clippings.
yeah.
Stephen A. Smith done trashed them how they was gonna get busted up. That 100K was well worth it.
Yeah, the 250. Kentucky beat Florida the week prior. They were fine as well.
But that's the thing, you're not gonna stop that. Nobody's thinking of no rules, especially if they're not paying it.
Now, this rule was instituted in 2014, actually. So it's been on the books. And since 2004, it's like, man, look, stop. What are we doing?
Greedy.
What are we doing?
They just greedy. Because I would run too. It was the number one team in the country. Nick Saban was working on his 101 win against everybody, basically.
Right. This is
that's like Dayton beating UCLA.
Yes.
That's the same thing. I'm running the court. It's the same thing. I got a lot of basketball references today, but same thing.
Yeah. It's been a long time since Notre Dame Stadium and the fans have stormed the field. It's been a long time.
Well, the Clemson game last year.
That wasn't really official, dude. It wasn't a full stadium. I can't even count that, man. That's nah.
Well, we had the
real
Michigan
storm.
State. We stormed Michigan State year. Is that when we had Jimmy Clausen or something? Or we did one of them years.
I don't know. Irish fans, help us out, man. Help us out. Because I'm honestly, I go back to like Miami and the Lou Holtz.
Oh, yeah, that's
those days as far as storming the field, and definitely the Florida State game in '93.
Oh, yeah,
the storming the field. Still the greatest football game I've ever watched.
The greatest one
ever. You don't have to understand. You have to understand.
Too much. It was too much going on.
I said that I've ever watched. Because at that time, it was without a doubt the game of the century. Like it was billed as the game of the century.
Yeah.
You know, that was like game day in its infancy.
In its infancy. They didn't even have the same pool yet.
Man, you had Charlie Ward, you had Warwick Dunn, you had Derek Brooks. I mean, that was like the peak Florida State program.
I don't know. Peak Florida State might have to be Jameis's team.
Now we can debate that. Come on, man.
Jalen Ramsey, Jameis Winston.
Peak?
They were undefeated. They were for like 2 years.
Nah, this is why I have to disagree. This is why I disagree. Number one, that same Jameis Florida State era should have lost to Notre Dame.
Oh, well, I mean,
Ev outplayed Jameis, in my opinion, in that game.
Yeah.
So we talk about peak Florida State, and this is the number one reason why I have to disagree with that. There was no true litmus test for them. And what I mean by that Florida State team had to test itself against Miami every year. That was when both programs were like dogs.
Yeah.
So if you beat them, and wait a minute, and I think they ended the season playing Florida every year at that point in time. So you had all three teams at its peak.
Well, Florida State played, Oregon. They played Auburn. Auburn beat Alabama that year.
Oh, that championship game was really good.
That was a really good game.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the road. Look, bro, Florida wasn't that good when Jameis was there. They weren't. Miami wasn't that good when Jameis was there. It was just no.
They had Will Greer the year that remember they won the championship. Will Greer had them boys all the way up to like what? They was like 10. They was about to win 10 games.
You see my face? Did you just say Will Greer, dude?
At Florida, they had him as a Heisman. I guess not. But
You spinning it real different this morning, boy.
Jameis was undefeated though when he played us when we went down there and they beat us.
And he got outplayed. And they cheated.
Got outplayed.
They cheated.
Yeah, they definitely cheated. But that's 17 games in a row then.
And then they got smacked up in the Rose Bowl.
30 something almost. They got smacked at 30 games. That's hard to do.
Still got smacked up.
They did get smacked up.
They got smacked up pretty bad. In my opinion, that's crazy. Dalvin Cook was a freshman on that squad.
Dalvin Cook was on that team.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just have to agree to disagree. I mean, that's peak Florida State to me in the 90s, early 90s. You know, you say, because I can't, other than Jameis.
They have more draft picks Jameis year too, though.
No.
The whole secondary, the whole Florida State secondary was drafted.
Jameis, and Jalen.
Jameis, Jalen, Dalvin. Then
right.
You had P.J. Washington, Carlos Darby. You had
keep going.
Eddie Goldman.
Yep.
You had let's see. Their backup running back that played for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Cam Thomas.
Yep.
He was drafted. Shoot. D-line was drafted. Mario, what's his name? I know their whole team, and it's crazy because that's how many was picked up. Their linebacker, their middle linebacker was drafted. What's that, like 10 people?
Yeah.
And then Kelvin Benjamin was drafted. We forgot about Kelvin Benjamin. We forgot about what's the other receiver? Oh, Devontae Smith. Let's keep going down the list. That's at 10 at least.
Okay. You ready? Okay. I'm looking at it right now. The 93 Florida State Seminoles had 15 players drafted.
15, okay.
15 they went to the NFL. 15. 15.
How many first rounders? Because that matters.
Man, now you want to shift now you want to move the goalposts.
How many first rounders? Jameis Winston's team had what, 3 first rounders?
And I'm not counting. Hold on, I'm not counting Charlie Ward, who chose to go play basketball. No, real talk. Let's talk about it. If it was today, rather than the way the NFL was played in '93, Charlie Ward was like our guy Kyler Murray. I
don't know, because playing basketball at that level is way different than baseball.
And playing basketball is guaranteed money. That's number one.
Baseball guaranteed money.
And baseball's guaranteed money. And you're not getting injured, and your career's not on the line every play. So, yeah, that was an easy decision back in '93. But because, like I said, once again, the quarterback is protected way more now in the NFL, and it's more open. And more amenable to the skill set of Charlie Ward than it was in '93 as well. So, like you said, if Charlie Ward, Heisman Award winner, if he was coming out today, Charlie Ward would be a number 1 pick. That's just a caveat I would like to throw out there. You got me.
Huge caveat. Number 1.
I will lean with you on the first rounders, but I'm just talking about the consistency. We're talking about 87 to like 95 when Bobby Bowden 93 to about 95, 96 is when his program started to level off.
Yeah.
Because I think that last championship game against Tennessee, when they lost to Tennessee, that was kind of like, that was it. Because I think that was after that, right after that, I want to say.
Well, they was sliding until Jimbo got there.
Yeah, and then Jimbo kind of resurrected everything.
I mean, he brought in all the good recruits.
Yeah, he did. But then who was more important, Jimbo or Jameis? Because once Jameis left and he had other quarterbacks, that offense was kind of.
Well, he had Christian Ponder, then he had E.J. Manuel.
Yeah.
Winston. And then he had, who was the dude after Jameis? DeAndre Francois.
Yeah, it wasn't Jameis.
But DeAndre was nice. He just at the time they didn't have the offensive line. That's when DeAndre Francois was getting destroyed every week and picking himself up off the ground. It was getting ugly.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's when they start being terrible after that.
I think I remember his sophomore year, DeAndre Francois, I think their first game was against Alabama, and I've never seen a quarterback get hit that many times. Never seen a quarterback get hit that many times.
He got hurt. He tore his old ACL for that game.
So, yeah, we went real left, but that petty train is for the SEC and all of these fines for storming the field.
Because how do you even evaluate that at 100,000? How do you get to that number? That's how you know they just like, you know what, we need a Christmas bonus check, man. Go ahead and put them boys on that fine, man.
That's, you know what? How do you get to that random number, right?
Yeah,
they find the Kentucky fan base got fined more.
How do you get to that number? They haven't beat Florida since '85 or something at home. So
maybe they're finding them based upon the number of opposing players that get bumped or get caught up in the melee. That's so random.
Because I know, because when you even making a rule, how do you set it so high? Because you're not going to deter people from doing it because the people ain't paying for it. So that's just an easy invitation. I wouldn't schedule no number one games.
It's so goofy. Even if it's because of like liability, of somebody suing.
Man,
if they get hurt or something like that.
It's been happening since the beginning of time. Now
absolutely.
Talking about liability.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
When did people start caring so much about that?
Like, is there any
$100,000?
Okay, so
where is that money coming from? Like, are they pulling it from the team fund? Are they pulling it from?
I mean, it's the athletic program.
Oh, well, it's not scratching Nick Saban's his little structure over there. He came in third in the governor's race and didn't run.
Well, you know how that is. Yeah, they fined Kentucky $250K. Dude, it's Alabama. It's Alabama. Like, did you not expect the field to be stormed if they got beat?
Yeah, what you thought it would be just a simple walk outside, shake hands, and they probably still partying over there.
Man. So let's move on a little bit, talk about what the weekend was. Pretty good weekend in college football. The one thing I would like to say is that it was an amazing game in Blacksburg. The environment, just the way everything went, it was just a really good college football game. And then to be able to turn that off, switch over to the Alabama-Texas A&M game and kind of be in shock. Like,
shocked the whole time. Why is it so close still?
Right. Like, man.
It's getting kind of late. It's fourth quarter. Oh, y'all pushing it like that, huh?
Yeah, that was good to see. Earlier, we told you, we previewed the weekend. It's going to be plenty of points in Texas and Oklahoma. Like, we didn't know they were going to break the century mark.
Yeah.
But
it's gotten more and more points every year, too.
Yeah.
Every year. Yeah. Last year it was high like that, but this year, 51 to 52.
Yeah.
53 or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely bananas.
Somebody got fired after that, though.
Both defensive coordinators, like Alex Grinch still has his job, and that defense has been mid for at least 3 seasons.
But that's why it's hard to respect those teams when it comes to talking about playoff runs and being worthy to get in that playoff spot, because you look on your roster you look on your schedule and you see 50-point victories or other teams scoring 60, you go 60-point shootouts. How do you justify that will fly?
Yeah.
You're going against a team like, shoot, I can't even say Alabama. Well, I can say Florida, or a team like Georgia that is giving up less than 2 points.
Right.
Their defense so tough, you only get 2 points for a field goal. So,
and I know we're already going to go back and forth on this, man. I'm not impressed by Iowa. I'm just not. Look, I'm not impressed by Iowa. If they face Ohio State's going to smack them up and put up points. It's just Iowa will more than likely control the line of scrimmage and be able to pound the ball and run the ball. So that's why the game will probably be interesting. But man, don't be fooled by like them leading the nation in interceptions and all of that. Nah. Penn State receivers were running wide open all game long. All game long.
Iowa is I give you the perfect comparison. Iowa is the kid at school that's really big, that doesn't know how strong he is. So when people pick on him, they think it's nothing. Like, oh, he's soft, this and that, this and that. But if he get mad and play for real,
yeah,
you in trouble every time. So yeah, nobody thinks of Iowa as a good team, but you don't want to play them either.
Right.
Because Penn State is the cool kid at school that gets some new shoes and everybody's watching and stuff, and he's getting all confident and he getting all the girls at school, and then next thing you know, he think he big and bad and want to pick on little old Iowa, man. He just over there eating by himself,
right.
Trying to finish his homework, start messing with him, and he didn't know Iowa was big like that.
Right.
Got embarrassed. So I think that Iowa is a team you don't want to play, even though you'll watch film and say, oh, we can do this, this, and this, and this, and this to them. Yeah. And then when you get over there and you get in their stadium and it's rocking, and they come in there and doesn't do nothing fantastic. They don't do anything flashy. But you look up at the scoreboard, be 7-10, and you losing.
Yeah. BYU, which was probably the only other hurdle to Cincinnati as a non-power 5 getting into the CFP. They lose to Boise State. That's a big loss for them. Knocks them out. Cincinnati goes out and drubs Temple, which we expected. Really don't see anybody challenging them in their conference unless they just have a bad day defensively. Right. Not offensively. If they just have a bad day defensively and get into a shootout on the road, maybe up against a Memphis or somebody like that, maybe.
It's always a team like a Memphis or a Tulsa.
Yeah.
That gets it, or a Houston that gets in a crazy point shootout with a Cincinnati team, and you're like, man, I wonder what everybody else is watching on film because they just lighten them up.
But
it's sort of similar to how I look at the Mountain West Conference. Like San Jose State got some really good players.
Yeah.
It's just San Jose State. So if you watch a full Mountain West game, you're like, man, these guys are flying around, scoring points. They're pretty good. And then those are the teams you don't watch all season. They play in Cincinnati, and it's toe-to-toe.
Yep. Oh, boy. Ryan Day said he was going to correct some things, and the offense is humming.
The only thing they corrected was playing easier teams in their schedule. Do you really think he had to change that much?
Well, when he said he was going to correct things, he wasn't really talking about his offense. He was talking about his defense.
I'm talking about defense too. Tell me the game after Oregon where they were the least talent, the lesser talented team going into that game.
Oregon was the least. You said Oregon was the lesser talented team?
After Oregon, I thought Oregon was more talented.
Right.
But after Oregon, Ohio State has been the more talented team in all these games.
I mean, that's always. That's
so
every
when
year.
You talk about he had to make some huge coaching adjustment. No, you didn't. You just had to wait till you start playing.
Yeah, because they were giving up. Yeah. They were more talented in Minnesota, but they were giving up way too many big plays.
Yeah,
against less talent. So there was still something to be corrected.
Right.
So now you're just not seeing now, they're still scoring a lot of points, but now the defense is at least holding teams that they should to the number of points that they should be held to.
That they should.
Should. Right. Like, dude, you're facing Rutgers. You should hold them to no less than 7 points.
But I do think that the playing field is more even this year with going against a team like Michigan, who the biggest difference in Ohio State's battles with Michigan was the quarterback.
I'll say even with Michigan State.
With Chase Young, huh?
Michigan State too.
Michigan State, yeah. I mean, Michigan State, Penn State, Michigan are all failing, and Wisconsin are all failing in comparison to Ohio State every year because of quarterback position.
Right.
And they got the one or two Chase Youngs or monsters out in the midway like that. Right.
Michigan State, Michigan undefeated. This is cool, right? Because this type of football season, old school rivalries have kind of been dead because one of the teams in that rivalry really hasn't been good. Right. Like Notre Dame USC really hasn't had a buzz around it for at least 10 years.
Because USC isn't holding their weight. They ain't bringing the entertainment like
Facts.
We bring the entertainment every year.
Anytime
we lose to you guys, we bring the entertainment. That's what's crazy.
Anytime we can take a little dig at USC, we're going to do it. Yes. Yes.
But the thing about USC is they can't make it to our game before they have so many flops before they get there. And it's not so much flops. I'm saying like games where you expect them to win to get ready for a game against us midway or end of the season. You got 3-2, or you got a terrible loss, or you got some huge coaching distraction that somehow a team like USC can't find a stable coach, which is nowadays it seems like it's a lot harder to find a stable coach. You just got that 5 coaching Mount Rushmore, and then Urban just went to the league. So, I mean, how many guys can you just turn around and be like, okay, you can fill a huge position like that? It's starting to feel like it's not too many.
Yeah. But in the Big Ten this year, like because of styles, Iowa, Wisconsin, that's going to be a good game. Like most people say, well, Wisconsin lost to Notre Dame. No, I know they have 2 losses. They went and banged up on Illinois, which is no great feat.
Right.
But that's a game where both teams are going to line up and try to run the ball.
Yeah.
And you can say Wisconsin might have the better defense, might have a better front seven. So that's a rivalry game, and that's going to be a big game, and I think it's going to be a good game. Yeah. You take Michigan State. Hasn't meant much in a long time. Both teams might be 7-0. That's huge for college football.
That's huge.
Right? If Michigan wins that game and they come into the horseshoe undefeated for the last Big Ten game, or they face Ohio State undefeated, yeah.
It's like that.
That's huge. And the fact that we have those type of games, the fact that Alabama-Auburn is really going to mean something. Because Alabama can't lose another game.
Unfortunately.
They can't lose another game. I mean, we can literally, and we've been begging for this, so people might get what they've actually wanted without expanding the field. Because the argument for expanding the playoffs to 8
is over with now.
Well, man, we're tired of seeing Alabama and Clemson. Well,
I would like to see Alabama as a team that's on the teetering of getting in. I want to see them at a 4 seed. When they sit at that 1 seed.
No. Cincinnati's locked in at that 4 seed.
You think Cincinnati is going to lock in at a playoff spot?
No.
Who's watching that?
If they run the table.
Who's watching that on TV?
I don't know who's going to watch it.
Ain't nobody watching that.
I'm just telling you. If Cincinnati runs the table.
Cincinnati has to run the table by scoring 6
pressure
every game.
Listen to me, man. The only hurdle to Cincinnati not going to the CFP, and this is why I say Cincinnati is locked in. The only hurdle is Alabama running the table. And if Alabama runs the table, they're going to be the 3 seed. They're not going to be the 4 seed. Nobody's going to sit in a room and say, we're ranking Cincinnati as a higher seed than Alabama.
Yeah, they wouldn't do
one
it.
loss.
So, but you would rank Cincinnati higher than Oklahoma?
Oklahoma's not going undefeated. No, it's not happening. I'll put money on that today.
Williams looking real good.
That's not happening. That's not. But Caleb Williams, once again, he's a freshman, and you saw him in a situation and in a game where helter-skelter was beneficial.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, that you have film on him, he's gonna go, dude. He's gonna go into Bedlam against the Oklahoma State team.
Hey, that's a tough place to
That's
play.
always a tough game. So it's some hurdles for Oklahoma, and I just don't trust Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I just
not
don't.
with their defense.
Not with the defense and the offensive line has been shaky. No, but for me, I think the Big Ten champ definitely ends up in the
You always
CFP.
got to get in.
I
Ohio
think
State,
Georgia's a lot,
Georgia's a lot. So,
but if Alabama beats Georgia in the championship game, which I don't think is going to
But
happen.
what about Florida?
Florida just lost to Kentucky.
But
That's 2 losses already.
I'm thinking because they played close with Alabama.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
So
It'll be Ohio State, Georgia, and then
I'm telling you,
Cincinnati, because I say us before Cincinnati. If we
Cincinnati,
win out,
now see, this is what, dude.
if we
I
win
would
out, we
much
don't
rather.
have to get over Cincinnati.
This is me. This is us. This is the Lucky Lefty podcast being petty. You can put us on the train. Okay. We're going to run the table. I firmly believe that.
I believe
Look at this schedule.
It'll be so close, but we'll run it.
We'll run the table. And if I had known before the season that Alabama and Clemson would slip up,
yeah,
and possibly not be in it,
this could be our year to fuck around and win.
this is like, man, this is our year. Like, yo, get in this bad fella.
This might be the year we
Get
can
in this
really
bad
win.
fella. But then I caught myself. You know why I caught myself? You know why I caught myself? Oh my God, bro. If our offensive line had to go up against that Georgia front seven,
Oh well, yeah.
that
is.
yo,
But you know,
I don't want
this
to use certain words because I don't want Irish fans to be upset with me. It just wouldn't turn out good.
They got a 400-pound, what is it? 300, 400-pound, big monster dude though.
In the book, he's 360 in the book. So he's probably really a 385.
Who's blocking?
Jonathan Davis.
Who's blocking that?
No, nobody on Notre Dame's offensive line.
It's not a dig on us. Who's blocking that?
Man, nobody.
And then his backup damn near the second best in the country. So who's blocking those two guys rotating?
No, that's something because we got like 5 minutes. But really, watching that game against Virginia Tech, that's the one thing we're missing. Like we can go get rangier linebackers, guys in the secondary that fast that can cover. Until we get that stud at defensive tackle,
a Stephon Tuitt,
a couple of studs that really, because what it does is it makes your linebackers better than what they already are.
Our whole team will look. The reason why Manti was so good, look at the front three. Lewis Snakes, potential first rounder. Stephon Tuitt still playing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another guy. So then it's like, okay, we need a Jadeveon Clowney. That'll make our whole program.
Yo, and I don't know where you find it.
We haven't had a Jadeveon in ever since Tuitt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll make us a little more feared. Even when we had Jalen, we were really respected, but a really, really nice, really Chase Young defensive end. Because I like Isaiah Fowski.
He's a beast.
He's not a Chase Young. He's not a
because he's not a
Clowney.
Yeah.
He's not a Aaron Lynch. Aaron Lynch was even, had some power. I'll watch TV to watch Aaron Lynch play for the Irish, so I think he's really good, though. Obviously, I think he can. Because think about it, we had Khalid Kareem.
I mean, honestly, we
Khalid
did have
really good.
Since those guys, we did have Sheldon and Jerry.
Oh yeah, Jerry's the first, but Jerry popped his freshman year. But was Jerry a guy where he was like, man, we gotta take all 5 guys and block him?
No. His senior year, That's when Jerry really took off.
He played very well. But even in that year, was it a Chase Young pop year? Where he like,
I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
like we got really, 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 really good players.
Yeah.
But do we got that game-changing defensive player?
Imposing, yeah.
That we got him, man. He's just disrupting game plans. Like, they can't even if they know he's coming, they can't stop. That will make us in the Alabama Clemson category. Not that we can define a specific player on those teams now.
Yeah.
But you'll watch an Alabama Clemson game, even if they're winning or losing, there's a couple players you're like, oh, who is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Man, you mentioned Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was like the biggest miss I've ever had in watching a player. Biggest miss.
We played him every year.
I know. And that's why we went
to 4 overtimes against Aaron Donald.
I will hit no. Like the year he came out, he played us, and Zach was giving him the business.
A Hall of Fame guy.
Right? I forgot that, right? I forgot that. I'm just watching Zach put in work. I'm like, oh, this dude, man. Like,
yeah, whatever. They talking a lot, whatever.
They talking trash. This dude.
He just so happened they both are Hall of Fame players.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I was so disrespectful.
That's that taking the offensive line for granted. You even said it yourself. Zach Martin didn't give up a sack his senior year.
Right.
So you talk about a guy like that, and then you turn around and be like, all the Irish fans can't even acknowledge another guy blocking.
Yeah, I think I remember one play where he tried to run a TE stunt, and he goes to the outside, and McGlinchey picks him up. And he tries to inside move McGlinchey, and Zach just puts him on the ground. And I'm like, man, this dude going first round. Like,
he's like 5'11". Yeah, he's like 5'11". Ain't nothing worried
I was so disrespectful. I was so disrespectful. Not realizing, like, he is facing two pretty good players. It
was, man, we were good. I mean, those guys are playing today, so that says
my apologies to Aaron Donald, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's worried about it. He's too deep in the MVPs and Defensive Player of the Years to be remembering specific details.
I definitely missed Aaron Donald, and I wasn't the only one because I think he dropped down to the teens.
Yeah, I was a big fan of him because Sheldon loved Aaron Donald. He called Sheldon like a poor man's Aaron Donald. When he was there and he was getting up, because Sheldon's freshman year, he did really well. That was the championship year,
right?
But he would always tell me about Aaron Donald. I was like, okay, I was watching, but I said the same thing. I'm like, he's like 5'11". Like, he really that nice? Well, yeah, I was wrong too. He's better than really nice.
Yeah, we missed it. It's all good. We can't hit on everything.
I mean, I don't think anybody really was hitting on Aaron Donald other than Sheldon Day and super dove in, intelligent, whatever. So
yeah. All right, before we get out of here, man. As we said before, the schedule is not daunting. Starting with USC. After this bye week, what does Notre Dame need to work on to get better? Like, what if you're Marcus Freeman and you're Tommy Rees? Like, what are practices like? What are you working on, and what are you saying for the second half?
Man, honestly, I think it's just continuing to find ways to win games. Mm-hmm. I don't think it'll look clean or consistent all year moving forward because the games are getting tougher, and we've done a great job of that's kind of been our identity to find ways to win. So continuing to find those players that can do just the one or two plays really good, maybe, and finding how you can extend getting those players in the game, the young guys, and if you're gonna keep rotating quarterbacks, just keep finding ways to put it together defensively. I think that's the most on-track unit in terms of playing consistently. So as long as they do that, we'll find a way to on offense to continue to keep the game close, and then hopefully we can win in the end.
All right. That has been the Slant right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast, man. Go subscribe. Check us out. Thank you for everybody, man. The views that you gave us over this past month. It was an incredible month for us in September, and the first 2 weeks of October have been amazing. We thank you for subscribing. Share it. Let people know we're here. We're talking Notre Dame football and occasionally talking a little college football and NFL as well. So, from my guy Malik Zaire, we spin it different. Spin the Lucky Lefty podcast. It's the Slant.
See you.